Boy, these are Italians. Now they want to start getting ratchet. Okay. At this point, I'm not even surprised that this happens. And this continues to confirm it doesn't matter if it's the Creole Americans or Italians or Europeans across the world, it's the same thing. Now, this wouldn't really be an issue if we were creating our own clothes, creating our own businesses, and supporting our own businesses, creating our own wealth, and being producers and savers and investors instead of being consumers. Now, I think the latest numbers of particular of Afro-America that our spending power is approximately, I think, $1.8 trillion, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I'm not going to get into that and how that ties into when you look at GDP, but in the United States or the Western world, typically consumption from the public sector as well as the private sector is usually about 70% of your GDP. So I know a lot of people will say, well, that's spending power. That's not real economic power. But in most cases, spending power makes up a lot of what your wealth or your potential of your nation or of your people. But $1.8 trillion is a lot. I mean, that would put it up there, if I'm not mistaken, that would put it up there in one of the top, or pretty close to one of the top 10 largest economies in the world. It definitely within the G20, it will be up there. So we have power. So why are we giving our power to other individuals and outsiders? You know, just like the Black Panther movie, and then the request to get some of the money back. You had the money and you spent the money on the movie. You could have put that money somewhere else. So I wouldn't be making any demands of any of these outsiders or any of these foreigners. And when they do things like this to show you that they don't respect you, and it's a spit in the face, why would you spend any money with them? Now, I know in general, maybe in some of my other videos, I've said that boycotts and protests are not necessarily a big thing with me. I'm more about, we need to produce and create something of our own and support it than worry about what the other side is doing it. But in this situation, and it's not just Gucci, because there's others I'm going to get into this with. At this point in time, I'm calling not just for 3 months or temporary, a lifetime ban, a lifetime boycott of a number of these different companies and brands. I don't want to sit down and talk. I don't want to negotiate. I don't want to hear anything out. I don't want an apology. I don't want a PR campaign. You know, I don't care about you providing jobs and any of this other stuff. No, they need to feel the punishment, and we need to make our presence felt. We need to put some force on them. We need to vote with our dollars. I will never buy any Gucci, and I had a Gucci suit years ago. I only wore it like 2 times. I ended up giving it away. It was a jumpsuit, a sweatsuit. I will not buy any Gucci. I will not buy any Prada, which to me, Prada has always been for men. You know, I know that they have made, Prada has always, to me personally, been a women's line. I know they make men's clothes, but I've never really been into Prada for men. I can see why women maybe will wear it in their shoes and stuff like that, and purses and bags, but for dudes, I've never really seen Prada as being hot. You know, it always seemed pretty feminine to me. And Prada had that situation where they made these little tchotchke type trinkets that were basically, modern abstract sambos. Now, it was something that was only tested, I think, in one particular location in Italy. It got news attention, but it didn't get nearly as much the attention that Gucci is getting right now. So I will not support Prada. Also, Dolce & Gabbana. I think I talked about that in another particular video. Dolce & Gabbana made a disrespectful ad about the Chinese using ethnic stereotypes about, an Asian woman trying, or a Chinese woman trying to eat a pizza with chopsticks. Now, I'm not saying that to come to the defense or any type of intersectionality with the Asians or the Orientals or the Chinese, but my whole thing is that if they did this to the Chinese in an ad that was made for their market, then what would you think they would do to us? Because in the world, we tend to be the most hated and the most disrespected, the most undervalued. So if they did that to the Chinese, what do you think the Dolce & Gabbana D&G would do to us? So I'm not even going to wait for Dolce & Gabbana if they haven't done something already. I'm not even going to wait for Dolce & Gabbana to do something. To me, that's enough of a sign that they can't be trusted. No D&G, no Prada, no Gucci. The situation about a year ago at H&M where they had the Afro young boy in the hoodie with the something about the baddest monkey in the jungle or something like that. And even the parents didn't even really seem to get it. And I think the parents come from the continent. I'm glad I never shopped at H&M. No H&M, no Prada, no Dolce & Gabbana, no Gucci. A lifetime ban for me personally, and I hope others will do the same. A lifetime boycott. There is nothing that these companies could say to change their mind. I don't care who they hire. I don't care if they donate money. I don't care if they talk about creating jobs specifically for us. You know, if they want to pay us some type of reparations or something, that's fine. But I'm not going to take that money and turn it right around and then spend it with them, because that would be like basically getting gift cards for free and then you just use it to buy their merchandise. You know, I would encourage other people not to support these brands as well. And also, if you're buying gifts for individuals, for loved ones, and if these brands and these retailers, these fashion houses, if they sell gift cards, that's the same thing. Spending a gift card to use in those stores is the same thing as buying the merchandise. I will not support them whatsoever. We should not work with them. We should not support them. I would not seek any employment from them. We should have no dealings with these people whatsoever. We should make no covenants with these people whatsoever. It is time to separate, okay? Just like another video I made about the Green Book when it comes to travel, like it was used in the past. I want to take that for the modern time and expand it, okay? Let's separate. Let's not deal with them. Let's not give them our money, our time. Let's not give them any power that we have. Let's take it and let's channel it in a different direction. And I also want to throw into this Waffle House, because Waffle House over the last few years has gotten a lot of blowback, the way that they mishandled that one sister. Now, personally, I've only been to Waffle House once in my life. I know Waffle House was supposed to be the big thing after you go partying or clubbing and stuff like that. And then everybody files into a Waffle House or maybe like a Denny's or a IHOP or something like that, especially if it was the only thing open at that hour. Now, we can talk about maybe some of your social behaviors and being out at night and in a different crowd and environment. But the one time I did go to Waffle House years ago, and maybe this is just a bad experience or a one-off, I ordered some food there, some waffles and some, breakfast sandwiches and different things like that. And the food was, I don't want to say it was disgusting. I mean, it was edible, but the food was, in my opinion, very substandard. I'm not saying this to promote these other companies. Denny's, I would say, is better. Even IHOP is better. Waffle House really left a lot to be desired. The food was very generic, very unimpressed. It was very bland. It wasn't very flavorful. Wasn't very savory. Wasn't just very good at all. And with the experience that I had with the Waffle House, not really talking about the service, but talking about the food itself, it just wasn't that good. And I walked away from that one experience thinking, especially after hearing about Waffle House for a while, why do people like this place? The food isn't even that good. I've heard people say that in Atlanta, the Waffle Houses there are the best, and I guess that's where it originated from. But I don't know if I'll ever be in Atlanta other than for a business trip. And even if I am in Atlanta for a business trip, I don't think I would give them my time or my money. I just don't think I would do that just to test and see if maybe that location would be different than the one that was in my location. So Waffle House, no go. H&M, no go. Dolce & Gabbana, no go. Prada, no go. Gucci, no go. Canceled, banned, absolute boycott for life. Will never support them. Now, I'm not really that big of a consumer. I've never really been that big of a consumer. I like wearing nice clothes and being fashionable, but I just really haven't spent money on stuff like that. I like spending money when I feel like it's worth it, but I'm just not that much of a consumer. I'm more of a saver and an investor. I'm more worried about growing than I am simply acquiring stuff. I want to have assets, not just stuff. So now this was kind of going for me personally. This was something that was kind of going on at the same time when the whole Gucci stuff broke out. I had been looking into traditional African attire and other ethnic attire that would be more appropriate to who we are as a people, instead of basically dressing like the white man. You know, we are not Westerners. We are more of an Eastern people, so to speak. You know, we are definitely ethnic. We have certain tribal background that makes us unique and different. And it's bad enough with slavery, and we have these European or Eurocentric names and speak foreign languages and tongues and have other people's names, you know, but then to act and to dress like they do, we need to find our own way. And that's what I'm working on for myself personally. I've been doing it in the past, and moving forward, I'm definitely going to be doing it a lot more. So I was looking online, looking for just different places to buy authentic African attire and clothing so I could dress like the person, the individual, the man that I am, and not looking like the white man. I still have some nice Italian suits. No, they're not Gucci or Prada or anything like that, but they are nice three-piece Italian suits that I'll still wear to nice events. But then I also will be ordering more formal clothing that's ethnic and indigenous and aboriginal, more to who we are as a people, that will look good and you can wear for nice occasions, and you can still rock it with a nice overcoat or a nice jacket or something like that, or some nice shoes. That's what I've been doing. You know, if Stephon Marbury makes any shoes or some t-shirts maybe that I like, I will buy some of those from him. I've bought some Big Baller brand t-shirts and hoodies, and I don't even really wear hoodies, but I bought them to support a business of someone who's like me, and I respect what LeVar Ball is doing, and that he's not surrendering to the big labels like other athletes have. I talked about that in a previous video. I respect that very much about LeVar Ball, and we need to do that. We need to support Afro-owned business ventures of individuals who we could trust that are doing things positive. We need to pull our money away from the, I guess, mainstream or from white folks. We need to pull our money away from them, and we need to spend money with our own people, and we need to create our own brands. We need to create our own labels. We need to create our own fashion houses and modeling, present our own images of beauty and media, hairstyles, cosmetic, hygienic products, you name it. We need to make our own stuff. We need to stop buying stuff from them, and we need to start making our own stuff. So I want to take this bigger than just Gucci. This needs to be an economic and a production movement where we stop surrendering our power to them, where we stop being dependent upon them. Like people have commented, other Europeans and other folks weren't even wearing those types of clothes like that the way we were. We made a lot of that stuff popular. People were talking about how some of these fashion houses went to the level of even removing the monogram patterns and the big labeling and branding on the clothes, because they knew that's what we liked. Same thing with Tommy Hill. I mean, I've never bought any Tommy Hill figure, especially with that situation happened back in the day in the 90s. Tommy Hilfiger, that's another one. You know, just like we turned away from Tommy Hilfiger, we need to turn away from these Italian brands and H&M. We need to rebuke and reject all of them. I don't want to hear any apologies. I don't want to hear any explanations. It's over and done with. I am separating from you. Go make, you know, just like Tommy Hilfiger said, if you're making these clothes for white people, let them buy those clothes. Let these Italians buy these clothes. Let these Europeans buy these clothes. Let's let the Creoles over here in the so-called United States buy these clothes. Let them white folks and these Trump supporters buy these clothes. Walking around wearing these MAGA hats. Let them wear a Gucci suit with a MAGA hat. Let's see if they go do that. Let's see if they can actually afford some Gucci or some D&G or some Prada. You know, some of them can't even afford H&M. All right. Let them buy the clothes, not us. We need to do our own thing. So that's just kind of giving some examples of what I've been doing. A number of the individuals that I've been buying this ethnic clothing from are Afro people, whether they're overseas, in the United States, all over the world, spread across the diaspora. Okay. And we need to make these companies feel it, because just like back in the day with the civil rights movement, we know when we hit them in the pocketbook, that's when things start to change. Now, I can't stress this enough. This is not to be just something temporary or for a while to where they feel the pain and then they come to us on their knees with an apology. I don't want your apology. I don't want an explanation. I don't want to hear. There's nothing you could do and there's nothing you could say. Do what you do. Make your clothes for whoever you want to make them from. I'm not going to buy them. We shouldn't buy them. We need to support our own. Okay. And if, especially with these economic situations that's been going over in Europe, especially Italy, a number of these fashion houses are maybe suffering right now financially. So if we could bankrupt Gucci, if we could bankrupt Prada, if we could bankrupt Dolce and Gabbana, if we could bankrupt H&M, I mean, Tommy Hilfiger has survived all these years, so I guess, you know, he's still going to continue to do his thing. But if we could bankrupt Waffle House and any one of these other companies that will be exposed like this, you know, then that will make real change. And in the alternative, if there are situations where our brothers and sisters can get their labels out there, get their brands out there, get their products out there, get their merchandise out there, and we support them, and even maybe if even other individuals buy their product, do business with them and support them as well, you know, and if it's people who are really for the community, that means we're going to get investment. We're going to get job opportunities. We'll see that economic growth, and we'll finally have some Afro-owned businesses, Afro power, Afro investment that we can turn to and rely upon, and not have to rely upon white society. So that's what I want this to be about. This needs to be bigger than Gucci. This needs to be bigger than even just a boycott. This needs to be a complete change in the way of operating, a complete change of business protocols and how you spend your money. You have to control your dollar. You can't make someone else, or you can't allow someone else to dictate who you do business with, where you spend your money, how you spend your money. That's your choice. Spending your dollar is even more powerful than a vote. You know, the economics is even more powerful than any of these elections. Okay. And in this country, the United States, and even across the world, with this whiteism, the ideology of whiteism, at the end of the day, other than a certain type of militarism that could take place, the only other thing that they're going to respect is the money. And if you break them and you bring them to their knees, and if we could bankrupt these companies, or at least cause them to suffer significantly financially, where they start to have to draw back their business operations, if they have to lay off some workers, you know. And look, I'm not saying that I would just revel in the possibility that people got fired because of this, but at the end of the day, it's not really our fault if these things happen. It's the fault of these racist leaders in their company for doing this stuff, and for those who are employees in these companies that maybe knew it was happening, even if you're not in a management or decision-making position, then you should have been speaking out about it within the company and trying to bring about a change of culture in the company to make sure that these racist things like that don't get out there. And so you could change the culture within the company. But since that didn't happen and we've gotten what we've gotten, this is what must happen. So if their companies have a lot of drawbacks, fine. If people get laid off or unemployed, fine. If the companies go bankrupt and have to be sold off, have the assets sold off by private equity firms, I'm fine with it. But in the fallout, in the aftermath, we need to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a position where we're creating businesses, we're creating brands, we're creating product, we're creating the economics to where we can receive payments, receive wealth, do business, have commerce, and reinvest and support each other. We have to build up our own economics. Like Dr. Claude Anderson talks about time and time again, we have to practice group economics. And this Gucci situation and all these other situations and the ones that will probably come into the future, because you know there's probably more that will happen. You could bet on it because they can't stop themselves. They just can't help themselves. All these situations that will continue to happen they're simply proving and showing who they really are. And that's okay. I like knowing who I'm dealing with, whether if it's someone sitting in the White House or someone who's wearing a MAGA hat, or someone who's wearing a Mississippi Justice Confederate flag t-shirt. I like knowing who I'm dealing with. But as a people, I just wish that collectively we would start doing things differently. And instead of trying to integrate with these racist individuals who don't care anything about us, we need to take our own business and we need to separate.